Hello guys and welcome back to the Stupendous Wave. Lightsabers have been an integral part of the Star Wars universe as the select weapon of choice used by the force-wielding factions of the Jedi and the Sith. So fan expectations were high to see if Emperor Palpatine ever used one. We saw his devastating display of skill in Revenge of the Sith as well as in the Clone Wars, as Palpatine dispatched 4 Jedi Masters, faced off against Grandmaster Yoda, and dealt with Maul and Savage Opress with considerable ease. But just like every other saber user, his was specifically designed to meet Palpatine's own needs and his needs alone. Due to this, his lightsaber had a very unique design that was not only hated by every Jedi, but would come to be despised by even Darth Vader himself. But why? As we know, lightsabers are a specific reflection of someone's own inner workings and their own self-design. Therefore, it would make sense why the lightsaber would reflect them. So what made the Jedi despise his lightsaber so much? And what were Palpatine's lightsabers made of specifically meant to insult the Jedi's core philosophies? Well, today we will answer that question. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of you that watch the channel haven't actually subscribed yet. So if you've been enjoying the Star Wars content and would like to keep up to date on everything Star Wars related daily, force crush that subscribe button. Now acolytes, let us begin. Sidious's lightsabers were made of a rare and extremely expensive metal. Several metals in fact. They were made of frick, which was a largely indestructible metal only really found on Gormus or Tatooine. It also sported an erodium emitter, erodium being a yellow colored metal rarer and more precious than gold, and it sported a shiny electrum finish. Electrum perhaps the most important of the metals aforementioned. As everyone is aware, a lightsaber is also known as a Jedi's weapon. Palpatine specifically crafted this lightsaber to insult them because of one of the Jedi's core philosophies. This philosophy to remain humble and to know their place as a servant of the Force and the galaxy at large. Sidious's lightsaber, though, would not represent any of these qualities. Quite the opposite, in fact, by design. By constructing his lightsaber of the most expensive material, Sidious spat in the face of that ideology. His lightsabers were a statement, which basically said that he rejected humility and that the galaxy and the Force will be servants only to him. Ever the pragmatist, Sidious already had prepared a backup lightsaber. This weapon was initially identical to his first lightsaber with the electrum and frick finish, again identical to the lightsaber that he originally constructed. However, Sidious would later make the decision to retrofit it with an unknown black alloy. Darth Sidious created his lightsaber during his apprenticeship and used this weapon throughout his Sith training under Darth Plagueis. When he began his political career, he concealed his lightsaber within a statue in his Senate chambers. The weapon remained hidden within the statue for at least 2 decades, waiting until Palpatine needed it. Continuing on now with the make of the lightsaber and the greater details of it. The weapon sported shorter handles, which perfectly suited Palpatine's more one-handed fighting style. Sidious was a master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, but often preferred to use Form 7, Juyo. However, he was also known to fall back into Form 6, Naiman. Sidious's form was a sort of mix, implementing the acrobatics of Ataru and the aggression of Djem So. The 4th and 5th forms of lightsaber combat respectively. Juyo heavily emphasized using the mindset of the dark side in order to use it properly. One had to completely succumb to the lure of the dark side and use their own ambition, their inner emotion and hatred with every strike and motion. This was something that came quite easily to Sidious. Sidious's form was one that was completely banned in the Jedi Order, until of course Mace Windu came up with the Vapad variant. This design choice is where Vader had issues with the lightsabers though, stating that they were inferior to the lightsabers that he would go on to construct. In the dawning days of the Galactic Empire following Order 66 and during the Great Jedi Purge, Vader was a fledgling Sith Lord, having just barely gotten a hold of being within his new suit. His bloodthirst for Jedi was insatiable, and he scoured every corner of the galaxy, turning over every rock to find every Jedi, going this way and that, finding all of the ancient order. Since having lost his lightsaber on Mustafar, Sidious lent Vader one of his own lightsabers to use, until the Sith Lord would eventually construct one of his own design. What a joke that was. If Vader's torment in his suit wasn't enough, the lightsaber was the final straw. Due to its construction, it was difficult to wield for Vader's larger gloved hands. The unfamiliar style it required clashed heavily with Vader's preferred style, and soon he found Sidious's lightsaber an absolute chore to use. Sidious hardly ever used his lightsaber, as he was under the belief that the Sith had grown beyond their use, and he simply owned one to mock the Jedi. Whether or not this is true, the fact still remains that Sidious was incredibly powerful in the Force, and proved it by never really using his sabers unless absolutely necessary. We can see in the fight between him, Maul, and Savage that he seems to just be toying with the two of them, cackling and smiling as he moves around them and between them with ease. Due to this, Vader would come to believe that his lightsabers weren't meant for heavy dueling, but were rather more decorative if anything. He commented that it was less of a weapon and more like a piece of jewelry. Ultimately, Vader would be correct in his assessment, as Sidious did regard his weapon as little more than effects to his style rather than a necessary tool. Sidious often judged the Sith by their power within the Force and not their skill with the lightsaber, as he believed true power could only lie within the dark side and one's command over it. Soon enough, Vader would construct his own lightsaber, which was far more simplistic in design and a much larger one to fit Vader's hands and his two-handed fighting style, ultimately swearing off the use of Sidious's lightsaber ever again. So friends, what do you think of how everyone reacted to Sidious's widely hated lightsabers for very different reasons? What do you think of Sidious's lightsabers? Let us know down below. As always, we would love to hear your thoughts on the subject. And again, may the Force be with you, and we hope that you are having a great day.